The training hall smelled like burnt metal and disappointment. Park Minji stood in the center of the combat arena, her small frame barely visible among the towering alien warriors around her. The energy rifle in her hands felt too heavy, too awkward. She raised it toward the practice target, squeezed the trigger, and missed. Again, the shot went wide, hit the ceiling, and caused a shower of sparks to rain down on the observation deck. Several students jumped back with startled shouts. Someone laughed. Then another. Soon the entire hall echoed with mocking laughter from a dozen different species. Instructor, Velthara's 4 arms crossed over her massive chest. The Krolix warrior stood nearly 8 feet tall, her gray skin covered in ceremonial battle scars. Her eyes, all 6 of them, focused on Minji with barely concealed disgust. Cadet Park, Velthara's voice boomed through the hall. That is the 15th shot you have missed today. Explain to me why Earth sent you to this academy. Did your planet run out of competent candidates? Minji lowered the rifle and bowed slightly. I apologize, instructor. I will do better. You say that every day. Yet every day you fail. Velthara turned to address the other students. Let this be a lesson. Physical strength means nothing without control. Speed means nothing without accuracy. Humanity fought hard to earn their place in the coalition. This is what they send us? Kang Dojun stood among the human cadets, his face red with shame. He was one of the top students, respected by even the alien warriors. Having Minji as a fellow human made him look bad by association. He turned away, pretending not to know her. The training session ended. Minji walked alone to the equipment room to return her rifle. Other students passed her in the hallway, their conversations falling silent as she approached, then resuming with barely suppressed laughter once she passed. She had gotten used to it over the past 6 months. The isolation, the mockery, the disappointment in every instructor's eyes. Lee Hana caught up with her near the dormitory entrance. Hana was Minji's roommate, a talented pilot who could navigate asteroid fields blindfolded. She was also the only person who still talked to Minji like a friend. Don't let them get to you, Hana said, falling into step beside her. Everyone struggles at first. It has been 6 months, Hana? So? Some people need more time. You will figure it out. Minji smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. Thank you. But you should not be seen with me too much. It will hurt your reputation. I don't care about that. Hana grabbed Minji's arm. We're friends. That matters more than what those idiots think. They entered their shared quarters, a small room with 2 bunks, 2 desks, and a window that looked out at the stars. The Celestial Combat Academy floated in the Andromeda sector, a massive station that housed over 5,000 cadets from 50 different species. It was the most prestigious military training facility in the coalition. Getting accepted was an honor. Failing out was a disgrace. Minji set her bag down and collapsed onto her bunk. Hana sat at her desk, pulling up holographic displays of flight patterns she needed to study. Are you going to the announcement tomorrow? Hana asked without looking up. What announcement? The interspecies tournament. They announce the participants tomorrow. It's the biggest event of the year. Minji had heard about the tournament. Every year, the top students from each species competed in combat trials. It was supposed to promote unity and understanding between species. Mostly it was an excuse for everyone to show off. I will probably not go, Minji said. I have extra training scheduled. Extra training won't help if you keep approaching it the same way. Hana finally turned to look at her. I see you, you know. Late at night. You sneak out to the auxiliary training rooms. Minji tensed. You followed me? No. I just wake up sometimes and you're gone. I assumed you were training. Hana paused. but I never hear any reports of you using the facilities. Where do you actually go? Just walking. Thinking. The station is quiet at night. Hana looked like she wanted to say more, but she let it drop. She returned to her studies. Minji stared at the ceiling, counting the seconds until Hana would fall asleep. The next day, the entire academy gathered in the central amphitheater. Commander Vex stood at the podium, his Velrim features sharp and angular. The Velrim were known for their speed and precision. Vex had been a legendary warrior before becoming the academy's director. The interspecies tournament will begin in 2 weeks, Vex announced. Any cadet in good standing may register. The brackets will be determined by random draw. The rules are simple. Win or withdraw. There is no shame in recognizing when you are outmatched. Students buzzed with excitement. This was their chance to prove themselves, to earn recognition, to show they belonged among the galaxy's elite warriors. Minji sat in the back row, trying to be invisible. But invisibility was not something she would be granted today. Cadet Park Minji? A voice called out. It was Instructor Velthara. You are being called to the director's office, immediately. Every head turned. Thousands of eyes watched as Minji stood and made her way down the stairs. The whispers followed her like a swarm of insects. Commander Vex's office was cold and sterile. He sat behind a desk made of some crystalline material that hummed with energy. Instructor Velthara stood beside him. They both looked at Minji like she was a problem that needed solving. Cadet Park, Vex began. We need to discuss your future at this academy. Yes, sir. Your performance has been ... concerning. In 6 months, you have shown no improvement. Your combat scores are the lowest in academy history. Your theoretical knowledge is adequate, but practical application is non-existent. He leaned forward. The tournament registration is open. We strongly suggest you do not register. I understand, sir. Do you? Velthara stepped forward. If you enter that tournament and fail as spectacularly as you fail in training, you will humiliate not just yourself, but all of humanity. Earth has worked for decades to gain respect in the Coalition. You will undo all of that in minutes. Minji kept her eyes down. I understand. Good, Vex nodded. Then we are agreed. You will not register. There was a long pause. Then Minji spoke, her voice quiet but clear. With respect, sir, I will register. The room temperature seemed to drop. Velthara's 6 eyes narrowed. Vex's expression hardened. That is not a request, Cadet. That is an order. Regulation 47C, sir. No cadet may be forced to withdraw from voluntary competitions without evidence of physical incapacity. I am physically capable. Therefore, I have the right to register. Vex stood slowly. You are making a mistake. Perhaps. But it is my mistake to make. That evening, Minji's name appeared on the tournament registration list. The betting pools gave her 1,000 to 1 odds of winning even a single match. Most bet she would not last 30 seconds. In their quarters, Hannah confronted her. Are you insane? They will destroy you. Maybe. This isn't bravery, Minji. This is suicide. Minji turned to face her friend. For just a moment, something flashed in her eyes. Something hard and cold and utterly confident. Then it was gone, replaced by the usual meekness. I know what I am doing, Hannah. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you are throwing away your life for nothing. Minji walked to the window and stared out at Earth, visible as a small blue dot in the distance. She whispered something Hannah almost missed. Not for nothing. Never for nothing. That night, after Hannah fell asleep, Minji left their quarters. She moved through the empty corridors like a shadow, arriving at an auxiliary training room on the station's lowest level. The room was small, old, barely used. The security cameras had been malfunctioning for months. No one had bothered to fix them. Minji stood in the center of the room. She closed her eyes and breathed deeply. Then she moved. What happened next would have been impossible to explain. Her body flowed like water, struck like lightning, moved with a precision and speed that no human should possess. The training dummy she attacked did not just break. It exploded into fragments, so small they looked like dust. The sound of her strikes echoed like thunder. She trained for 3 hours. Every movement perfect. Every strike devastating. Every technique a masterpiece of controlled violence. When she finished, she carefully cleaned up all evidence of her presence. The training dummy was vaporized beyond recognition, so she disposed of it in the station's recycling system. The floor was repaired with a small device she carried in her pocket. Within minutes, the room looked untouched. Minji returned to her quarters and slipped into bed. Hana never stirred. As Minji closed her eyes, she thought about the tournament, about the choice she had made, about the mission she could not abandon. Just one more year, she thought. Stay hidden. Complete the mission, no matter what it costs. But deep down, she knew the hiding was almost over. The tournament brackets appeared on every screen across the academy. Students crowded around displays, searching for their names and their opponents. Cheers erupted from some, groans from others. Everyone wanted to know who they would face. Minji found her name at the very bottom of the list. Her opponent was Korathan, a Krolix warrior who had won 16 consecutive matches in previous tournaments. He was 7 feet tall, weighed 300 pounds, and had 4 arms that could bend steel. The matchup was so one-sided that several betting pools refused to even accept wagers on Minji winning. Within an hour, Earth's ambassador Choi Taeyang arrived at the academy. He was a distinguished man in his 60s, with gray hair and sharp eyes that had witnessed decades of diplomatic negotiations. He did not look happy. Minji was summoned to a private conference room. Ambassador Choi sat at the head of a long table. Commander Thex and Instructor Velthara flanked him. All three stared at her with expressions that ranged from disappointment to anger. Cadet Park, Ambassador Choi began, his voice tight with controlled fury. Do you understand what you have done? I registered for the tournament, sir. You have jeopardized Earth's standing in the coalition. We have spent decades building trust, proving that humanity deserves a place among the stars. And you, a single cadet who cannot even hit a stationary target, will destroy all of that in front of 50,000 witnesses. I understand your concern, sir. Do you? Choi stood, slamming his hands on the table. When you lose in seconds, every species will see it as proof that humans are weak, that we do not belong here. That accepting Earth into the coalition was a mistake. Minji remained silent. She kept her eyes down, her posture submissive. She looked exactly like what everyone believed her to be, a scared girl who was in over her head. Withdraw, Choi said. Cite an injury. Claim illness. I do not care. Just withdraw and spare us all this embarrassment. I cannot do that, sir. Cannot or will not? Both, sir. Choi's face turned red. I am ordering you as Earth's official representative to withdraw from this tournament. You do not have that authority, sir. Regulation 47C states that. I know what the regulation states. Choi took a deep breath, visibly trying to calm himself. Why are you doing this? What could you possibly hope to gain? Minji finally looked up and met his eyes. Respect, sir. Even if I lose, at least I tried. Isn't that worth something? The ambassador stared at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head and left the room without another word. Commander Thex and Instructor Velthara followed, leaving Minji alone. She sat in the empty conference room for several minutes before leaving. As she walked back to her quarters, she passed groups of students who pointed and laughed. The whole academy knew about the ambassador's visit. Everyone knew Earth had tried to make her quit. When she reached her room, she found someone waiting for her. Kim Ji-ho was a quiet human student who specialized in engineering. He rarely spoke to anyone and spent most of his time in the tech labs. Minji had maybe exchanged 3 sentences with him in 6 months. "Cadet Park," Ji-ho said, looking nervous. "May I speak with you?" "Of course." Ji-ho glanced around, making sure they were alone. Then he pulled out a small data pad and showed it to Minji. "I have been studying your training records," he said quietly. "All of them. Every failed exercise. Every missed shot. Every accident." Minji's expression did not change. That must have been depressing reading. No, it was fascinating. Ji-ho pulled up a series of graphs and charts. "Look at this. The training dummy you destroyed last month. The official report says you accidentally overcharged the plasma rifle. But I analyzed the energy signatures. The blast pattern does not match a rifle overcharge. It matches a controlled detonation from multiple precise impact points." Minji said nothing. "And this incident from 3 weeks ago. You allegedly tripped during a gravity combat exercise and crashed into the wall, damaging it. But the damage pattern suggests a kinetic strike with at least 5,000 pounds of force. A human body falling cannot generate that much impact." "What are you saying, Zhao?" "I am saying that either you are the unluckiest person in the galaxy, or you are hiding something. And I don't believe in that much bad luck." Ji-ho put away his data pad. "I wanted you to know that someone notices. Whatever you are doing, whatever you are hiding, you are not as invisible as you think." He left before Minji could respond. She stood alone in the hallway, thinking about what he had said. She had been so careful, but apparently not careful enough. If Ji-ho could see through her act, how long before others did the same? That night, Hana tried to help her prepare for the match. "Okay," Hana said, pulling up training videos of Korathan. "He is strong but not fast. His forearms give him range, but they also make him commit to attacks early. If you can dodge the first strike, you might find an opening. Hana, you do not have to do this." "Yes, I do. You are my friend, and you are about to get destroyed. The least I can do is try to help." Hana zoomed in on one of the videos. "See how he drops his lower left guard after a combination? That is a weakness. If you can exploit it, I will be unconscious before I can exploit anything." Hana threw up her hands. "Then why are you even doing this?" "Just to prove a point. Just to show you tried?" Minji did not answer. She could not tell Hana the truth. Could not explain that the tournament was never about winning or losing. It was about something else entirely. Something that Hana would not understand. Not yet. The days passed too quickly. Do-yoon approached Minji in the cafeteria 2 days before her match. He looked uncomfortable. "I have been assigned as your coach," he said, not meeting her eyes. "Apparently it is a punishment for saying you should withdraw. You do not have to help me if you do not want to. I know. But I will anyway." Do-yoon sat down across from her. "Look, I still think you should quit. But if you are going through with this, you should at least have someone in your corner." They spent the next 2 days training. Or rather, Do-yoon tried to train her while Minji continued to perform terribly. She missed targets. She stumbled during footwork drills. She held her practice weapon incorrectly. Do-yoon grew more frustrated with each passing hour. "How did you even pass the entrance exam?" He finally asked. "I got lucky," Minji said. "No one gets that lucky." The night before the match, Minji could not sleep. She lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling while Hana snored softly in the bed above. Tomorrow everything would change. Tomorrow the hiding would end. Tomorrow the mission would enter its next phase. She thought about the 5-year-old girl who had been asked to give up her normal life. The girl who had said yes without understanding what that meant. The girl who had been transformed into something else. Something more. Something necessary. Minji's hands clenched into fists. Energy crackled silently between her fingers, invisible in the darkness. She released it and sat up. Moving silently, she left the quarters and made her way to the observation deck. The huge windows looked out at the stars, at the vast emptiness of space. Somewhere out there, Earth hung like a blue jewel. Home, the planet she had left behind to become a weapon. Just one more year, she whispered to herself. Stay hidden. Complete the mission. But even as she said it, she knew it was a lie. The hiding was over. Tomorrow, when she stepped into that arena, everything she had built would collapse. The weak girl, the failure, the embarrassment. All of it would burn away, and what remained would be the truth. Her reflection in the window flickered. For just a fraction of a second, her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. She saw it and closed her eyes, forcing the power back down. Not yet, she told herself. They are not ready yet. A voice behind her made her jump. Cannot sleep either? She turned to find Instructor Velthara standing in the doorway. The massive Krolix warrior approached slowly. Her 4 arms relaxed at her sides. I should not be surprised to find you here, Velthara said. Most students cannot sleep the night before their first match. I am sorry for disappointing you, Instructor. Disappointed? Velthara laughed, a deep rumbling sound. No, Cadet Park, you do not disappoint me. You confuse me. Your test scores show intelligence. Your psychological evaluations show determination. Yet your physical performance is abysmal. It does not add up. Some people are just not meant for combat. Perhaps. Velthara moved to stand beside her at the window. But I have trained warriors for 30 years. I can usually tell within a week whether a student has potential. With you, I cannot tell anything. It is like looking at a locked box. I see the outside, but I have no idea what is inside. Minji said nothing. Tomorrow you will face Korathan, Velthara continued. He will not kill you. The matches are non-lethal, but he will hurt you. He will hurt you badly. Are you prepared for that? Yes, Instructor. Why? What is worth this pain? What is worth this humiliation? Minji turned to look at the Krolix warrior. Do you believe in duty, Instructor? Of course. Then you understand. Sometimes duty requires sacrifice. Sometimes it requires pain. Sometimes it requires looking like a fool so that others can feel superior. I do what I must. Velthara studied her for a long moment. There is something about you, Cadet Park, something I cannot identify. Your energy readings are strange. Your body language is contradictory. You appear weak, but sometimes, just for a moment, I sense something else. What do you sense? Danger, Velthara said quietly. I sense danger. The instructor left without another word. Minji remained at the window until dawn, watching the stars slowly wheel overhead. Somewhere in her pocket, a small device buzzed silently. She pulled it out and read the encrypted message that appeared on its screen. GHOST, Protocol Status Check, Asset 17. Confirm position. She typed a quick response. Position maintained, cover intact, nitrogen monoxide compromise detected. The device buzzed again. Tournament exposure risk high. Recommend withdrawal. Minji hesitated, her fingers hovering over the keys. Then she typed, withdrawal not possible. Proceeding as planned. The response came immediately. Understood. Asset 17. You are cleared for Protocol Delta. Reveal only what is necessary. Maintain mission parameters. She deleted all the messages and destroyed the device, crushing it into powder that she scattered into the recycling system. Then she returned to her quarters, slipped into bed, and finally fell asleep. Tomorrow, Park Minji would step into an arena in front of 50,000 witnesses. Tomorrow, the galaxy would see her fight for the first time. Tomorrow, everything would change. The stadium held 50,000 beings from across the galaxy. Krolek's warriors sat beside Velran scouts. Ordif telepaths occupied entire sections, their mental communications creating a low hum in the air. Humans filled maybe 200 seats in the upper levels, a small reminder of how new Earth was to the Coalition. Minji stood in the preparation room beneath the arena. She could hear the crowd above, their excitement vibrating through the walls. Dajun paced nervously beside her, going over last-minute advice that she already knew she would not need. Remember, Doyon said for the 10th time, stay mobile. Do not let him corner you. If you can last 30 seconds, that is already better than most people expect. I understand. And if it gets too bad, just surrender. There is no shame in knowing when you are beaten. Minji nodded, but she was not really listening. She was counting her heartbeats, measuring her breathing, feeling the energy that coiled beneath her skin like a sleeping dragon. Today, that dragon would wake up. Just a little. Just enough. Hana burst into the room, her face flushed from running. The betting pools are insane, she said breathlessly. Some people are betting on how many seconds you will last. The highest guess is 45 seconds. The lowest is 8. Thank you for that encouraging information, Daoyan said sarcastically. I am just saying, expectations are low. Anything you do will be a surprise. Hana grabbed Minji's hands. Please be careful. I know you think you have to do this, but it is okay to give up. No one will think less of you. They already think the worst of me, Minji said quietly. It cannot get worse. A buzzer sounded. It was time. Minji walked down the long tunnel toward the arena entrance. The sound of the crowd grew louder with each step. When she emerged into the light, the noise hit her like a physical force. 50,000 voices, most of them jeering and laughing. She looked so small standing in the center of the massive arena, a tiny human girl who barely came up to most aliens' shoulders. The human section was silent. They could not bring themselves to cheer for someone who was about to embarrass their entire species. Across the arena, Korathan emerged from the opposite tunnel. He was enormous, his gray skin covered in ceremonial markings that indicated his warrior status. His 4 arms carried no weapons yet. He would not need them. Not against her. Commander Dex's voice boomed across the stadium through the speaker system. Welcome to the Interspecies Tournament. Our first match features Cadet Korathan of Krolix against Cadet Park Minji of Earth. The crowd roared its approval for Korathan. For Minji, there were only scattered laughs and a few sympathetic groans. The rules are simple, Vex continued. Victory by surrender, unconsciousness, or ring out. Lethal force is prohibited. Weapons will be provided. Begin when ready. 2 equipment drones floated down from above. They deposited standard training weapons in front of each fighter. Plasma blades designed to stun rather than kill. Korathan picked up his weapons with 2 hands, while his other 2 hands remained ready to strike. Each blade hummed with blue energy. Minji looked at her weapon for a long moment. Then she left it on the ground. The crowd gasped. Even unarmed fights were rare in the tournament. Most cadets wanted every advantage they could get. The human girl does not even take her weapon. One commentator said over the speakers, "This match may be over before it begins." Korathan tilted his massive head, studying her. You do not arm yourself. Why? I will not need it, Minji said quietly. The Krolix warrior's expression hardened. You insult me with your arrogance. No insult intended. I speak only truth. Korathan charged. 400 pounds of muscle and fury crossed the arena in seconds. His four arms swung in a devastating pattern that would have overwhelmed most opponents. The plasma blades left trails of blue light in the air. Minji did not move. She stood perfectly still, watching him come. The crowd leaned forward. This was it. The moment everyone had been waiting for. The moment when the weakest cadet in Academy history would finally be put in her place, got at the last possible instant. Minji moved. What happened next would be analyzed for years to come. Experts would slow down the footage to 1/10 speed and still struggle to understand what they saw. Because in the space of 2.3 seconds, Park Minji destroyed every assumption the galaxy had about human limitations. She did not dodge Korathan's attack. She flowed around it like water around stone. His first strike passed through empty air where she had been a microsecond before. His second and third strikes met the same fate. His fourth strike finally found its target. Or it should have. The plasma blade stopped 1 millimeter from Minji's skin. It simply stopped, as if it had hit an invisible wall. Energy crackled and sparked against something the eye could not see. Korathan's expression changed from confidence to confusion. Then Minji struck back. Her hand moved so fast it blurred. It touched Korathan's lower right wrist with what looked like a gentle tap. The plasma blade exploded, fragments of the weapon scattering across the arena floor. Her second strike hit his upper left shoulder. The sound was like thunder. Korathan's entire arm went numb. She moved again, appearing behind him without seeming to cross the distance between. Her foot connected with the back of his knee. The mighty Krolix warrior, who had never been brought down in combat, crashed to the ground. His remaining weapons fell from nerveless fingers. Minji stood over him, perfectly still, not even breathing hard. The entire sequence had taken 2.3 seconds. The stadium fell silent. 50,000 beings sat in complete shock, unable to process what they had just witnessed. The silence stretched on for so long that some wondered if time itself had stopped. Korathan tried to rise. His arms shook with effort. He had fought in dozens of tournaments, had trained for years, had never felt anything like the strikes that had hit him. It was not just pain. It was something else. Something that made his entire nervous system scream in confusion. "Stay down," Minji said quietly. "Please, I do not want to hurt you more." "What? What are you?" Korathan managed to gasp. Minji did not answer. She simply waited while the Krolix warrior struggled to stand and failed. After 30 seconds of trying, Korathan raised one functioning hand and tapped the ground 3 times. The universal signal for surrender. Commander Thex's voice finally broke the silence. Winner by surrender, Cadet Park Minji of Earth. The stadium exploded into chaos. Aliens jumped to their feet, shouting in a dozen languages. The human section sat frozen, unable to believe what they had just seen. In the VIP box, Ambassador Choi had gone completely pale. Minji walked calmly to the arena exit. Medical drones rushed past her to tend to Korathan. As she entered the tunnel, she could hear the crowd behind her still screaming in confusion and disbelief. She made it to the preparation room. Before the interrogations began, Do-yoon stared at her like he had never seen her before. "What was that?" He whispered. "A fight." "That was not a fight. That was... I do not even have words for what that was." Hannah burst in, her eyes wide. "Minji, what did you do? How did you do that?" "You moved like ... like a ghost," said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned. Commander Thex stood there, flanked by 6 armed security officers. Behind them, Instructor Velthara watched with all 6 eyes focused intently on Minji. Cadet Park, X said, his voice carefully controlled. You will come with us. Immediately. Am I under arrest? That depends on the answers you provide. X gestured to the guards. This way. Now. They escorted her through empty corridors to a secure conference room. The walls hummed with electronic dampening fields designed to prevent surveillance. Inside, Ambassador Choi waited along with 3 Coalition intelligence officers she did not recognize. Sit, X commanded. Minji sat. She kept her hands folded in her lap, her expression calm. Inside, she was calculating outcomes, running scenarios, preparing for what came next. Explain, X said simply. I won my match. Do not play games with us, cadet. Your performance was impossible. Human beings cannot move that fast, cannot hit that hard, cannot generate energy barriers. Explain what you are. Minji looked at Ambassador Choi. The old diplomat's face showed resignation. He knew something. She could see it in his eyes. I am exactly what Earth sent me to be, she said carefully. And what is that? Before Minji could answer, alarms screamed throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed. Vex's communication device buzzed urgently. Director, a panicked voice came through. We have a situation. The footage of Cadet Park's match has been transmitted across the entire Coalition network. Every major planet has seen it. And, sir, we are receiving thousands of inquiries. Everyone wants to know what she is. Vex closed his eyes. Lock it down. Classify everything. No one speaks about this until we understand what we are dealing with. But it was too late. Across the galaxy, billions of beings had just watched a small human girl do the impossible. The questions were already spreading. The theories were already forming. And in the deepest parts of Coalition space, in secret facilities and hidden laboratories, people who had been waiting for this moment finally moved into action. In the conference room. Minji sat quietly while the adults argued about what to do with her. She was not worried. This had always been part of the plan. Not the exact details, but the general outcome. The reveal. The questions. The chaos that would follow. Her only concern now was how much to tell them. How much they could handle knowing. How much truth the galaxy was ready to hear. Instructor Valfara approached her while the others argued. The Krolix warrior knelt down, so they were at eye level. I knew it, Valfara said quietly. I knew there was something dangerous about you. But this is beyond anything I imagined. What are you, Park Minji? Minji met her eyes. I am what Earth needed me to be. I am the answer to a question you do not even know you should be asking yet. And what question is that? When the real enemy comes, Minji said softly, who will protect you? Valfara's expression changed. Fear flickered across her alien features. What real enemy? But Minji did not answer. She simply smiled, a small, sad smile that suggested she knew terrible secrets. Secrets that would soon become everyone's problem. The interrogation lasted for 3 hours. Coalition intelligence officers asked the same questions in different ways. What are you? How did you hide this? What is Earth planning? Who else knows about you? Minji answered some questions, deflected others, and remained silent for the rest. Ambassador Choi finally stood up and slammed his hand on the table. Enough! You want answers? Then I will give them to you. He turned to face Commander Vex and the intelligence officers. 25 years ago, Earth made contact. Not with the Coalition. Not with any known species. We made contact with something else. Something that had been buried beneath our ice for millions of years. The room went silent. Even the guards stopped moving. We called them the architects, Choi continued. An ancient artificial intelligence with technology so advanced it might as well be magic. They had been waiting watching, and when we finally dug deep enough, they woke up. "This is impossible," one of the intelligence officers said. "Earth's first contact was 10 years ago with a coalition survey ship. Our records show what we wanted you to see. The truth is different." Choi pulled out a data device and placed it on the table. "The architects gave us a warning. They told us that something is coming. Something that has destroyed thousands of galaxies. An enemy that makes your worst nightmares look like children's stories. They called it the Veil. We have no records of any such threat," Vex said, "because you have not been looking in the right places. Because you assumed the universe was safe, just because you have not encountered anything that could challenge you. Earth knew better. We prepared." Minji spoke for the first time in over an hour. "Ghost Protocol." Choi nodded. "Ghost Protocol. We selected children from across Earth, enhanced them, trained them, turned them into something that could stand against what is coming. We embedded them throughout coalition space, not as weapons, but as safeguards, as insurance against the day when the architect's warning comes true." "How many?" Velfara asked quietly. 17. 17 assets scattered across the galaxy. Each one hidden. Each one waiting. Each one capable of what you saw today. Choi looked at Minji. "She is Asset 17. Park Minji. Created when she was 5 years old. Enhanced with technology you cannot replicate. Trained by methods you cannot imagine. Sent here to watch and wait and prepare for what is coming." Commander Vex stood slowly. "You embedded super soldiers throughout our territory without permission. You violated every treaty, every agreement between Earth and the Coalition. We saved your lives," Choi said flatly. "You just do not know it yet." The argument that followed was intense. Threats were made. Accusations flew. The intelligence officers demanded that all 17 ghosts be identified and detained. Choi refused. Vex threatened to expel all humans from Coalition space. Choi reminded him that Earth held technologies that the Coalition desperately wanted. Throughout it all, Minji sat quietly, her mind elsewhere. She was remembering. She remembered being 5 years old, playing in a park in Seoul. She remembered men in suits approaching her parents. She remembered the offer they made. "Your daughter can save the world, but you will never see her again." She remembered the facility where they took her. The tests. The enhancements. The pain that lasted for months as her body was rebuilt from the inside out. The training that pushed her beyond what any human should endure. She remembered the first time she moved faster than thought. The first time she punched through solid steel. The first time she generated an energy field that could stop bullets. The mixture of wonder and horror on her instructors' faces. She remembered the 17 others like her. Some older, some younger. All of them children who had been transformed into weapons. They trained together, learned together, became something more than human together, and she remembered the day they were separated. Each one given a mission. Each one sent to a different part of the galaxy. Each one told to hide, to wait, to prepare. She was the youngest. Asset 17. The last hope if all the others failed. A chime brought her back to the present. Every device in the room lit up simultaneously with an emergency broadcast. Commander Vex answered his communication unit, his expression growing darker with each passing second. "What do you mean they are here?" "That is impossible. We would have detected them weeks ago." A pause. "How many?" "Show me." He activated a holographic display in the center of the room. What appeared made everyone freeze. Ships, thousands of them, appearing at the edge of Coalition space as if they had materialized from nothing. They were wrong. Their shapes defied geometry. Their hulls seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Looking at them too long made your eyes hurt and your mind recoil. "We are receiving a transmission," a voice said over the speakers, "broadcasting on all frequencies, in every language." The voice that came through was like nothing Minji had ever heard. It was not mechanical. It was not organic. It was something else entirely. Something that hurt to listen to. "We are the Veil. We have consumed 1,247 galaxies. You are next. Resistance is mathematical impossibility. You have 72 hours to surrender your most advanced technology and cease all resistance. Failure to comply will result in total extinction." The message repeated in hundreds of languages: Korean, English, Krolix, Velarim, every coalition tongue. Each repetition exactly the same. Cold, final, absolute. The room erupted in chaos. Intelligence officers were screaming into their communication devices. Vex was trying to coordinate with the coalition fleet. Guards ran in and out with updates, each one worse than the last. Through it all, Minji remained calm. Because this was it. This was what she had been waiting for. The moment when everything she had sacrificed would finally mean something. Her pocket vibrated. The emergency device she carried for exactly this moment. She pulled it out discreetly and read the encrypted message. "All assets, Protocol Omega, reveal, engage, survive." The 17 ghosts, scattered across the galaxy, all received the same message at the same moment. The hiding was over. The war had begun. Minji stood up. Everyone stopped talking and looked at her. "You wanted to know what I am," she said quietly. "I am Earth's answer to this. I am what humanity created when we learned the truth about the universe. I am a ghost, and I am not alone." She activated her communication device and sent out a signal on a frequency that only the other ghosts would recognize. 16 responses came back almost immediately. Asset 1 through Asset 16. All alive. All ready. All waiting for orders. Where are they? Vex demanded. Where are the others? Everywhere. Asset 4 is Dr. Song Yuna, embedded in your medical research division. She has been preparing biological countermeasures for threats you did not know existed. Asset 11 is Specialist Han Mino, serving in your fleet. He has been subtly upgrading your weapon systems for years. Asset 9 is Agent Shin Nari, in your intelligence bureau. She has been tracking the Veil's approach for the last 3 years. "This is treason," one of the intelligence officers said. "No," Ambassador Choi said. "This is salvation. You just do not see it yet." Outside, alarms continued to wail. Reports came in of the Veil fleet, moving deeper into coalition space. The first engagement had already occurred. Coalition ships had been destroyed in seconds. Their weapons did nothing. Their shields were useless. The Veil's technology was simply too advanced. Panic spread across the galaxy. Planets began evacuating. Fleets scattered. The coalition, which had stood strong for 300 years, was falling apart in hours. Minji walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, her fellow ghosts were preparing, revealing themselves, stepping out of the shadows to face the threat they had been created to fight. "You cannot win," Belthara said, coming to stand beside her. "I saw what you can do. It is impressive. But that fleet out there has destroyed over 1,000 galaxies. What can 17 enhanced humans do against that?" "I do not know," Minji admitted. "But we are going to try. Because that is what humans do. We do not accept impossible odds. We do not surrender to certain death. We fight, even when we should not. Especially when we should not." She turned to face the room full of military officers and politicians. "The Veil is coming here. To this academy. They want to make an example of it. to show the Coalition that resistance is futile. They will arrive in less than 6 hours. How do you know that? Vex asked. Because that is what I would do. Break the spirit of your warriors before they even begin to fight. Show them their best and brightest cannot stand against you. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. They are going to attack this academy, and we are going to defend it. You cannot be serious, one of the intelligence officers said. Evacuate everyone. This station is not worth dying for. Everything is worth dying for if it protects what comes next, Minji said. This is not just about survival. This is about showing the galaxy that the Veil can be fought, that they can be hurt, that resistance is not futile. She looked at Do-yoon and Hana, who had been waiting outside and now stood in the doorway. I need volunteers, she said. People willing to learn what I can teach in 6 hours. It will not make you into ghosts, but it will make you dangerous. It will make you survivors. I volunteer? Do-yeon said immediately. Me too, Hana added. Within an hour, 200 cadets had volunteered. Humans, yes, but also Krolyk's warriors, who wanted revenge for Korafan's defeat. Velarim scouts, who refused to run. Ordith telepaths, who sensed the importance of this moment. They came from 50 different species, all of them willing to learn from the girl they had mocked just days ago. Minji stood before them in the largest training hall. Behind her, holographic displays showed the approaching Veil fleet. 6 hours until contact. 6 hours to turn ordinary cadets into something that could stand against impossible odds. Everything you know about combat is wrong, she began. Everything you have been taught is incomplete. I am going to show you how humans fight, how we think, how we refuse to die even when death is certain. Some of you will not survive the training, but those who do will be ready for what comes next. She looked at each face, saw fear, saw determination, saw the same stubborn refusal to accept defeat that defined her entire species. Let's begin. The training was brutal. Minji pushed the 200 volunteers beyond anything they thought possible. She taught them to move without thinking, to strike without hesitation, to make decisions in microseconds. She taught them techniques that human martial artists had refined for thousands of years. Combined with technology, the architects had perfected over millions. Most importantly, she taught them to be unpredictable. The Veil fights with mathematics, she explained while demonstrating a defensive technique that seemed to defy physics. They calculate every possibility, every outcome. They predict your next move before you make it. So you have to stop being predictable. Stop following patterns. Fight with emotion, with instinct, with pure stubborn refusal to do what you are supposed to do. Do-yoon struggled with a footwork drill that required him to move in ways that felt wrong. This makes no sense. Every combat instructor says never to telegraph your attacks. Every combat instructor is teaching you to fight other coalition species. I am teaching you to fight something that can see the future. Different enemy, different rules. She grabbed his arm and repositioned it. Again, and this time, do not think. Just move. By the 3rd hour, 5 cadets had collapsed from exhaustion. By the 4th hour, 10 more had quit. But those who remained were changing. Their movements became sharper, their reactions faster. They were not becoming ghosts, but they were becoming something more than they had been. Hana excelled at the tactical planning sessions. She understood immediately what Minji was teaching. You are teaching us to fight like we are crazy. No, I am teaching you to fight like you are human. Crazy is just what everyone else calls it when we refuse to accept impossible odds. Reports kept coming in from across Coalition space. The Veil fleet was destroying everything in its path. Entire worlds were going dark. Millions were dying. The Coalition military which had never lost a major engagement in 3 centuries, was being annihilated. But there was other news too. The other 16 ghosts were revealing themselves. Asset 1 was leading a defense of a major colony world. Asset 6 had destroyed 3 Veil ships single-handedly. Asset 12 was coordinating evacuation efforts, while simultaneously fighting off enemy boarding parties. Earth's secret weapons were no longer secret, and the galaxy did not know whether to be grateful or terrified. With 1 hour remaining, Minji received a communication from Asset 4, Dr. Song Yuna. Minji, I have analyzed Veil technology from the engagement wreckage. Their shields operate on a frequency that shifts every microsecond. Standard weapons cannot track the changes fast enough, but I think your energy manipulation can. Can you send me the data? Already done. But there is something else. Their ships are not just machines. They are partially biological. They feel pain. That is something we can exploit. Minji smiled. Leave it to a doctor to find the enemy's weakness. Thank you. Stay alive, Yuna. You too, little sister. The term of endearment hit harder than Minji expected. The ghosts were not related by blood, but they were family. 17 children who had been transformed together, who had suffered together, who had been scattered across the galaxy, but never forgotten each other. Commander, Vex found her in the command center 20 minutes before the Veil arrival. The Council has ordered a full evacuation. They want everyone off this station immediately. No, that was not a request, Cadet Park, or should I call you Asset 17? Call me Minji, and no, we are not evacuating. If we run now, the Veil wins. They show the galaxy that even their warriors are cowards. That resistance is pointless. You are asking these cadets to die for symbolism. I am asking them to fight for hope. There is a difference. She turned to face him. Your species has a saying, doesn't it? About the warrior who stands when all others fall. Velfara, who had been listening, spoke up. The Last Stance. An ancient story about a warrior who defended a bridge against an entire army. He died, but his courage inspired others to keep fighting. We won that war. Exactly. We are that warrior. This academy is that bridge, and the galaxy is watching to see if anyone will stand. Vex was quiet for a long moment. Then he straightened his uniform. If you are staying, then so am I. A commander does not abandon his post. Neither does an instructor, Velfara added. Others in the command center nodded. One by one, the staff chose to stay. Within minutes, the evacuation order was canceled. The academy would stand. The galaxy would see that the Veil fleet arrived exactly on schedule. 50 massive ships materialized around the station, their impossible geometries making them hard to look at. They formed a perfect sphere, cutting off all escape routes. The transmission came through on all channels. Celestial Combat Academy. You will surrender the human designated Asset 17. You will also surrender all data related to architect technology. You have 5 minutes to comply. Failure to comply will result in the destruction of this station and all aboard. Minji walked into the central arena where the 200 volunteer cadets waited. She looked at their faces. Fear was there, yes, but also determination, also hope, also the same stubborn defiance that had defined humanity since the beginning. They want me to surrender, she announced. They want you to let them take what they want without a fight. They think you will choose survival over honor. They think you will abandon me to save yourselves. She paused, letting the silence stretch. Prove them wrong. The cadets roared their response. From 50 different species, in dozens of languages, they all said the same thing. They would stand. They would fight. They would not surrender after the 5 minutes passed. The Veil's response was immediate. Energy beams lanced out from their ships, striking the station's shields. Alarms screamed. The entire structure shook. "All cadets to defensive positions," Minji commanded. "Remember your training. Do not think. Just fight." The Veil's first mistake was trying to board the station rather than simply destroying it. They wanted the architect technology intact. They wanted Minji alive for study. That gave the defenders a chance. Veil soldiers materialized in the corridors. They were not organic beings. They were constructs, humanoid shapes, made of something that looked like liquid metal. They moved with perfect precision, their weapons firing with mathematical accuracy. The cadets fought back with chaos. Dao Yun led a group that attacked from 3 directions simultaneously, breaking every tactical rule he had ever learned. It worked. The Veil soldiers, programmed to expect logical behavior, could not adapt fast enough. He felt like he was moving in a dream, his body responding to training he barely understood. Hana coordinated aerial drones that she flew in patterns that made no strategic sense. They crashed into Veil forces at random intervals, disrupting their formations, creating openings for ground troops. Her instructors would have failed her for such reckless flying. But it worked. Instructor Velfara fought with a fury her species had not shown in centuries. The ancient Krolix warrior remembered stories of her.